Sure. All right. Welcome to the Fearless Freedom Family Call. I'm excited to be on here tonight to share with you guys some things that Kelly and I have learned about building a team from the ground up. It's been a while since we've talked about this on a team call. And with all of our new leaders and coaches who are hopping on here, have just joined our team, it's something we really need to think about, because as soon as we become a coach, we have a challenger usually, or we have someone who's relying on us for inspiration, and we have to remember that our leadership, our tribe starts then, and it starts at the very beginning, which makes me think of Sound of Music. That's the way my brain works. I'm starting to sing in my head now. Let's start at the very beginning. Okay, sorry guys. I just had to go down that rabbit trail so I can kind of get back on track. So anyway, building a tribe. As you see our team, you see the Fearless Freedom family, I would venture to say that almost everyone who's in there would say we have an amazing, solid tribe. And really what we call it is family, because Kelly and I had this conversation once. We were like, are we the empire? Are we the tribe? Are we and Kelly's like, I think we're the family. I'm like, I think you're right. Most teams would go by empire or tribe, but we really truly are a family. And the whole thing with building that it is that connection. It is that knowing that we have a place where we belong, a place where we're accepted for who we are. And everything we do from the moment that we become a coach really needs to keep that in mind, that everything that we do has to be connected with acceptance, with knowing that we're the challengers that we're working with, the coaches that we're working with. If we really want to build that tribe and that family, then they have to know that they have a place where they belong. And sometimes that's easy, and sometimes that's not easy. So I'm going to go ahead and give walk through a couple of things, and then give some examples, some real life examples of some really good things and some not so good things as we start to build. So first of all, in order to build that community and that family, it starts with us. Once upon a time, the Fearless Freedom family was Michelle Hilliard, by myself. And I started a challenge group. I did not join a challenge group. I joined a challenge, but I didn't. I never checked in. But I wanted change. And I did the workouts. And I drank the shakes. And I followed the meal plan. And I had a transformation. From that transformation came passion and enthusiasm. And I had people asking me, what are you doing? Why, what are you doing that's changing the way I looked at that point? I didn't changing on the inside yet. It's changing on the outside. But the first thing we have to do is be the ultimate challenger. And that's so important. And we always have to be the ultimate challenger. I will tell you, in the times that I have fallen off the wagon and disappeared, and I know Kelly can say the same thing, and pretty much everyone can say the same thing, those are the times where we have struggled with our business, with feeling like we're connecting as a family and as a tribe. So being the ultimate challenger and being consistent with our workouts and showing up is so important. Showing up in the challenge groups. If you're a new coach starting up, then you need to be, whether you have challengers or not, showing up in the challenge group, supporting other people in that group, whether they're your coaches or your challengers or not. That's so important, because as you do get challengers, they're going to see you in there cheering people on, cheering them on. And that builds that sense of family and leadership. So getting in the challenge groups, drinking your shakes, doing your food logs, getting your workouts in, and being enthusiastic about supporting and caring about others in the group is key. Without that, we're not going to build connection. And without connection, we're not going to have a tribe. So that is foundational, and it's important. The other thing is to be real. At the foundational level of a challenger, Be real about your trials and about your wins. I can't tell you how many times I would get in and I'd feel like I was shaming myself and putting myself in the stocks when I would say, I went to Splunkers and I had a burger and I really screwed up. And I was afraid everyone was going to look at me like, ha ha, you're a failure. You know, like you're supposed to be perfect and you're not. Like I was worried about stuff like that. I was nervous. And what I found out is almost every single time, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you failed too. Maybe I can do this then. Because if we're perfect, no one can be perfect. I mean, think about your biggest trials and failures that you have. Your challengers and your coaches are going to have the exact same things, or at least similar. Everybody struggles at one time or another. So it's important for us to share those struggles. But if we're being consistent with getting our workouts in and drinking our shakes, we will pull out of it. And that's the important thing. We can't continue in a downward spiral. We have to pull ourselves back up. But that's where that consistency in our workouts and our shakes comes in, and personal development, building a tribe, it all goes together. Those two vital behaviors, being a product of the product and personal development, those are an absolute must. And of course, you can't have a tribe if you don't invite the third vital behavior. And of course, the fourth vital behavior, affirmation, like letting people know they're doing a great job. So you have to be the ultimate challenger. Absolutely important. The second thing is when you start to coach, to know that you are a leader. I don't know about you, but I know that when I first became a coach, even though I strove to be a leader, I didn't feel like a leader. And in my head, I was like, I don't feel like a leader. I mean, Kelly and I have had conversations about this. I don't feel like a leader. I don't feel like a leader either. But, this is like a couple of years ago when we were in then we started doing the John C. Maxwell training and learning what leadership is. A leader knows the way, goes the way, shows the way. That's a leader. So if you're worried, I'm not a leader, okay, then think, are you being the ultimate challenger? Are you getting your vitals in? Are you being a product of the product? Are you reading your personal development? Are you inviting? Well, right there, if you're doing those, then you are going the way. You know the way, you're going the way. Showing the way means that you're reaching out to your new coach and you're saying, hey, let's do this together. I got my PD in. Did you get your PD in? What PD book are you reading? It's helping them with those goals. It's letting go of ego. Building a tribe is so important. We can't have ego. I will share a couple of things from when I do not talk about a lot about my first months as a coach, because they were pretty darn awful. I had a very challenging upline, and every time that I had a success, like my first month, I made Success Club 6. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I made Success Club 6. I'm so excited. But instead of giving me a shout out and saying, awesome, she tried to scrunch me down. Like she would cheer on someone else and not cheer me on in public. And then she thought I was in competition with her. And so her ego got in the way. And I just wanted her to say, awesome job. But what I got instead was her ignoring me and pretending I didn't exist. And that hurt. At that point, the only thing that kept me being a coach is I saw Rebecca Bain making money, and I wanted to make money. If she could do it, I could do it. I wanted money. Other than that, I would have quit. So it's so very important that if you sign someone up and they do better than you, to encourage them and love on them, not let your ego get in the way, because that can happen. I can tell you right now, Kelly's going to reach 5-star before I do. I know she is, and I'm excited for her. But it took a lot of personal development and a lot of me checking my own ego when there were times when she would do better than me in Success Club or whatnot, to be okay with that, because I'm a Ruby. I like to win, So it's knowing that we're going to have challenges like this, being prepared for them and checking our own ego when that happens, and knowing, perhaps finding someone else, your upline's upline, or someone to talk to if you're struggling with that. Because again, it comes down to building that tribe, and building that connection comes down to acceptance. And if we're letting ego get in the way, we're saying, I'm better than you, or don't you dare, or I'm not letting you get above me. Whether we're saying that or not, that's what's happening with our actions. So the other thing is if we don't feel like a leader, knowing that you don't have to be ahead of that person. We can do it together. Kelly is my downline, but really we're doing it together. And it took a while to get to that. This is why we're now the Fearless Freedom family. You know, Kelly had to go do her own thing. I had to do my own thing before we realized, you know, how much we are stronger together, working together, putting down that ego and realizing it's okay to need each other. It's okay to want to work together, to let other people have that opportunity to shine. Super important. And these are the life-changing lessons that will follow you to every area of your life and really, really allow you to shine as you grow. So knowing that we can do it together, and you don't have to have all the answers. Super important. We don't have to have all the answers. We just have to know where to find them, and to be okay with, you know, our challengers or our coaches or someone else finding them. And in that sense, also allowing them to shine, asking them, not being afraid to ask for help is huge. Asking them to do something that allows them to shine and to rise. The more we lift each other up, the better we are in the end. And when we allow the people who are in our community to shine and to grow as leaders, it helps them to also feel, again, more connected to the family. Like they have an important part. They have something to say, and someone wants to hear it. That's super important. There's nothing worse than being in a room and speaking and having no one listen to you. You know? So knowing that, like when we see people even on the team page, they post something, to hop on it. Like I've seen so much when someone introduces a new coach, I've seen so much love put on those coaches. When someone's struggling, I see so much love. I've been on team pages and I've seen things where people have posted stuff and no one has responded or said anything. How lonely. So remembering as we build and as we grow, and then if as we get challengers or coaches and we see they need some love, not being afraid to reach out to other coaches and say, hey, do you mind showing some love to this person? Because maybe people didn't see it. But that's when we all come together as a community and as we grow. Lucky for all of us, we have a family to tap into to do that and to help us. So really quickly, I want to go over some enemies of building that family and building that tribe. So some of the enemies are, and I've touched on a little bit of them. One is jealousy, being jealous of someone else's success and allowing that to taint our thinking. And that goes right along with comparison. When we compare to other people's, when we allow jealousy to kind of sneak in, our journeys, all of them are going to be different. You know, I've had this conversation with Angie before. You know, we've talked about how homeschooling kids and really doing everything that we're doing, or she's doing in particular with her 9 kids, amazing super mommy. Angie will not grow as fast as someone who has all their children in school and has a good amount of time to put in specifically to growing the business. Will she continue to grow? Absolutely. But she can't compare to that. Like I can't compare to someone. I did a video today on hormones. You know, when you've got postpartum depression, it's like you're running a race without legs. If you're running a race without legs, you should not be comparing to someone who's running a race with 2 good legs. They're going to go faster. It doesn't mean we can't move forward, but we might not move forward as fast as someone else. So that's really important. Not comparing. I'm seeing something about sausage and potatoes in the chat. That's right, Angie. She can do everything. You can do everything. You can do hard things.
I was joking about her because she shared with me how she meal plans the other week because I was trying to figure it out. And she talked about how they make this every Sunday, and it was mind blowing to me because it's something all my kids would eat. So that's why I was joking that she'll squash her goals while making sausage and potatoes. Sorry.
Okay, so another enemy is allowing that thought of I'm not a leader to creep in and to question whether or not you're a leader. If you're struggling with knowing what leadership is, read this book. It is super duper ultra awesome, especially if you have kids. It will teach you how to lead your children as well. But this book is foundational. It's the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. But when we think that it comes down to the simple, exactly, you are a leader. And when it comes down to that simple notion of we know the way, you know what you have to do to get success. You have to do your workout. You have to drink your shake. You have to follow your nutrition plan. Okay? To get the success you need. And you have to post. Okay? You have to be in the challenge group posting. Now, you know the way. So go the way. And be enthusiastic while you're at it. People have to see that you love what you're doing or they're not going to want to join you. Who wants to join something that's boring and hard? Nobody. Be enthusiastic. You know the way, go the way, show the way. When you get a coach, all you have to do is say, hey, this is what I did. Follow me. It really is that simple. Yes, we have all these calls and all these other things. But in all honesty, it's that simple. So you're a leader. Another enemy is being afraid to show failure. Being afraid to show people that you failed. A good example, I'll use myself. When I did the pageant and I was in the throes of the book, I dropped the ball on a lot of things with the team. And it was hard to get on there and admit that I failed. But I think that's important because if we don't admit we fail and we let our pride and our ego get in the way, everybody sees through it. They know we fail. When we get up there and let our pride and ego get in the way, we just become defensive. It's almost like being I hate to use the word liar, but if they can see right through it and we're trying to say, oh, no, it's all good, it's all right, that's not being real. But if you go to someone and you say, oh, is that better? Okay.
You said, if we don't admit we failed, then you went,
oh, if we don't admit that we fail, then it's like kind of like people can see through our failures. They can see when we're failing. So if we don't admit we fail and we kind of act like, oh, we got it all together, it's kind of like being a liar because people can tell that we're failing. And so if we're not showing that, then we're putting up a wall between us and them. And guess what? If you have a wall between you and them, that doesn't build family. That doesn't build tribe. It doesn't build that sense of connection. So when we're struggling to be able to say, hey, listen, I really am trying to walk you through this. And this, I just want to say I've had a really rough week. So bear with me. How can I help you? And figure it out. But don't pretend like we have it all together if we don't. Be real. And be a friend. In the end, we all want to be friends. We want to have that friend connection. An enemy of tribe, building your family, is disappearing. One of the books, I love the book, The Like Switch. It's really cool. If you can listen to it, listen to it. But the guy is an FBI agent, and he goes undercover, and he has to win people's affection in order to take them down. So he has to win the affection of some pretty awful characters. But one of the things that he talks about is how we build relationship. And one of the things is proximity and how close we are and how often we see people. So when we disappear, it's like we're breaking some of those bonds of friendship. We're making it so where they're stretched a little further versus having that closeness and that connection. So it's really important to be consistent. Being consistent in your challenge groups, being consistent in showing up on your team page, being consistent in checking in with people, letting them know that you care, that's important. You know, reaching out to your challengers once a week, reaching out to your coaches regularly, that's important. It says, I care about you. Again, the connection. That's all a tribe is. It's all a family is its connection, its closeness, its friendships. And then, of course, and then the last enemy I have written down is not wanting to ask for help. Trying to pretend like we know it all, we've got it all down. Again, people see right through that. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not know everything. So I wanted to open it up at this point for discussion because I think that we have some really awesome leaders on here. So anyone have any questions or anything to add?
You know, I really like this because I'm in the process of trying to set up a weekly meeting with my coaches right now. And I think this is some good, like none of them are on here, but I think this is some really good stuff to continuously touch base with them on for them to remember. It's like, and it's good to hear it over and over and over again because I've heard you guys have said this stuff to us before, but it's really nice to hear it again. And I'm writing it down again because I need to write it down because I need to remember it again. And it's just like, I mean, just simple stuff, getting our workouts in, drinking our shakes, reading our personal development, inviting. It's like, we know this stuff, but to hear it again and again and again, like, it's just, I don't know. And I like the part about like, you're a leader once you're a coach, you know, and it's okay to not know all the answers. Like, be willing to reach out for help. And we're not expected to know it all. I really like and the comparison trap. That's always something for me. Like, it typically doesn't bother me a lot, but I don't know. I always set expectations way higher, which my expectations of myself are kind of bad. It's not necessarily comparing them to other people. It's just, it's the comparison up here.
Yeah. I hear you on that one. I think we're very similar in that.
I have a podcast that's really good for that too, Rebecca. And even if your coaches ever want to listen to it, called The Enemies of the Heart. And it's like Andy Stanley wrote The Comparison Trap with his wife, and they have that devotional. But this is just a podcast, and it's like 20 minutes. But it talks about comparison, jealousy, or envy. Basically a lot of things Michelle talked about tonight, but it's really cool because he almost unsurfaces little ways it sneaks in that we don't notice, and then how to flip it. Like what, you know, if it's envy, then praising somebody. If it's, and I've listened to it several times. It has like anger is one of them. It just helped me. And I felt like I've shared even with challengers who struggle, like if somebody in the group is doing well and they're in a rut. I was just going to share, like, I think this is really awesome stuff. And one of the things Michelle talked about, which is true, is a lot of times leaders will break off. Like we broke off. She broke off from the Rock, and it was us as Team Fearless. And then I broke off and did Team Freedom as soon as I was a Diamond coach. And it was like farther and farther and farther away from the huddle. But at the same time, when we gather back together, it's like you need a way to connect when you have a team with your coaches. And so something that I wanted to share as an idea is I was talking to Sarah Kroger even about this, is like you were just saying this, getting on a call, like having like a lunch bunch every other week where you gather with your coaches for 20 minutes and say what's working, what's not, kind of like we do in the mastermind group, but what's working, what's not, how can I help you? And they could talk, it could be fitness if they're just in it for the discount, but it's community building. And that way you don't have to get on 10 one-on-one calls, you know what I'm saying, to take up all your time for phase one. And then they can also not feel overwhelmed by plugging into like this call. But just a suggestion, because that's something that I didn't do because I didn't think about it, you know, and I think it would have built a little bit of unity among coaches that didn't know each other. Like now I do a couple of those little calls with the groups of newer coaches just to help them bond together, because as our team gets bigger, when you recruit new coaches, they're going to feel like, even though we might not feel like our team page is huge because we look at like a Team Courage page that's ginormous, or even the Rock that's like 5 times more people in it per se, although our team page is amazing and very active. it's intimidating for a new coach to all of a sudden go from a challenge group of 20 to like a page of 110 people. So if you have a safe place to plug them in every other week where they're just connecting with you and they don't, that might be a idea. So
well, when I started, I was very frustrated because I couldn't figure out like what PD would be good to read and what should I be doing and how do I need to be posting and all that stuff. And to have a smaller, even just 3 or 4 people in a call would have been really helpful. I posted what should I be reading, but when you've read so much stuff and so many people have read this, and some of the stuff I didn't want to read, there were some of the books that everybody was reading that I didn't like. And so it was hard for me to find the stuff that I really wanted to read that meant something to me. So if I'd have had a smaller call, I think that would have helped.
yeah.
Not one-on-one just with Michelle or just with you or something like that. A call with like 4 people who said, oh, I read this and I read that and this was good and I liked this one for this thing. And that would be a way to have kind of a little mini leadership inside the big team.
Yeah. Well, like I have a group of coaches that just are shooting for Emerald right now. And every other Thursday night, if they want to hop on, I hop on, but they'll share like where they're stuck in inviting. What are they reading? How's it going with, like, and it's just, but then they're getting to know each other,
Right.
which has worked. But you're right. Cause I feel like it's great that our team page is growing. I love it, but it is nice to have those little tiny powwow opportunities for people to feel like they have that personal time with their sponsor.
I think, and I think it's important to make sure that your coaches know about the team calls and to get them on there for that reason. So the Getting Started Right call tonight, Elizabeth got on and I got to do a social media audit with Elizabeth. No one else showed up. So we did that instead of the normal call. So knowing that there are smaller group calls that you can hop onto is important, but getting your newer coaches on there so they get an opportunity to have FaceTime with other people is important because it's, again, back to the like switch. It's that how often the proximity, how close we are to be able to get to the other people on the team and how often we get to see each other. And right now, the best we can do is the team calls. So getting your team on the team calls will be huge for building that connection and helping them feel like they're part of something bigger.
But this is something that I found is that I can't force people to do it. I can offer it to them and they have to show up.
Yes.
So I can tell them till I'm blue in the face, but if they don't show up,
yep,
that's that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
making
what,
sure that they know about it, Yeah.
well, I think like what Michelle says, the way you show the way and you go the way you show the way. Like, that's the same with your challengers. You're going to talk to challengers who never answer your messages. The best thing you can do for them is show up every day in the challenge group, be the ultimate challenger, and still message them every week. You know what I mean? Like, you put a 10 on their head, and the same with your coaches, because you never know. I mean, I've heard stories of people who did nothing in a group for a whole year, and then all of a sudden now they're like a rock star coach because they just were, but because their coach was an example.
Melissa Bernard never posted in the group. She was never around.
Yeah.
But and the thing is to don't expect your tribe to do stuff, your family to do stuff that you're not doing. Yeah. So now everyone here's on the call. So you're here, you're doing, I'm not going to be like the priest who's at church saying, people should come to church. And you're like, I'm here.
Right.
It's that sense of especially for those who watch the recording, to know that if we want our coaches to be on the call, then to say, hey, I'm going to be on the call tonight. Would you join me? I would love to have you on there with me is a much better invitation than just saying, hey, there's a call tonight. Can you come? Listen to the difference in that invitation. Hey, there's a call tonight. I'm going to be on there. I was wondering if you'd be able to join me. It'd be great to have you on the call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's that connection.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the same too with even the opportunity webinars. When you have them, even if you don't have people that you've invited to it, it's good to show up to them because they actually kind of reignite you to like reach out to invite people to, or but you're right. Like, I think that's why we just have to love people where they're at, and you can't take things personal, which is a big thing I've had to learn. Big thing, because I'm a girl and I wear my feelings on my shoulder. And, you know, I've had John Maxwell said, everyone has a 10 over their head. That number only lowers when they choose to lower it themselves. You know, and if I consider that, then a challenger, I don't have I have to be careful not to slip into, they're a great challenger and they're not, because then I'm going to treat them as such, and or a coach, you know, but, next person. Yeah. That was funny too. When Janelle Summers said, you know, next, like, what'd she say? Like, then she was like, and I don't mean it like next, like I don't care about you. Like, I like how she prefaced it, because I was like, that spoke to my pearl heart. Because I'm like, yeah, I don't mean like,
But it's totally true. Like, okay, you show up, you don't show up, whatever. Right. I'm going to the next. My value as a coach is not tied into whether you do well in the business and whether you show up for the calls.
Yeah.
That's on you. I can tell you all the stuff I can tell you, and then the rest of it's on you. That's how I lead.
Yeah. Yeah. But you're right. But it was funny. That was something I had to learn, was like that little bit of emotional detachment.
Well, and it's because she said, some will, some won't, who cares, next.
Yeah,
that's what she said.
The who cares part is like that, well, I kind of do care, but
right.
I'm trying not to care.
And talking to having a success partner, like your upline, and talking to them when you do struggle with leadership issues is really helpful, because it'll help validate. Like Michelle said, you don't have to pretend like you know it all. If you're struggling with believing you're a leader, the best way to overcome that is to let that doubt come out and not hide it. You know, so there have been times this is one area, like, I don't like, I'll share a lot of things, but it's harder. And I've shared with like her, Michelle, or even the team, like, this is an area I'm like, share it, because then you'll grow through it. And you might find your coaches actually relate to it more.
Yep.
This was good stuff. I feel like it's good too, like, as we are retweaking our challenge groups and figuring out what works to revisit this. Thank you, Michelle.
Anyone want to share real quick how you guys have been inviting to tomorrow? I'm getting ready to blast out my invites tonight and in the morning, because I do better. I feel like I get better turnouts when it really kind of is last minute, like, hey, especially for people I've been talking to a while. It's just like, you know.
I'm a little nervous about inviting for tomorrow, because I know Summer's calls go long. And I know that these are really high up people, but I also know these high up people, there's a lot of them, and none of these people that would be going to the opportunity webinar, they don't have any idea like that these people are, you know, a majillion star diamond whatevers.
How long is it going to be?
I don't know. I don't know. Like, she said that everyone's going to take like 10 minutes. I'm sure there might be a little bit over, but what I've been messaging people is it's a great opportunity to hop on. And I'm going to even tell them, like, you know, if like to me, I've been inviting to it because of the way I see it is, if they can't listen to the whole thing and they hop off, if they heard two people's stories and we could talk about it, that's better than nothing. And I could tell them, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but the list of people I've been inviting, a lot of them, most of them I've been talking to her for a while. A few that just kind of came up in conversation, like Rebecca and I were working last week, and I just bit the bullet and invited a girl that I've been wanting to invite for 2 years, but I don't know her very well. I just love her on Facebook, and she's excited. So
Kelly about dove under her table to hide.
Yeah. After I sent the invite, I like shut the computer. But she's like, but I have 6 people confirmed going, and I just have said, I'd love to talk with you Wednesday or Thursday afterwards and set up a time. I don't know. I feel like even if it's long and someone hops off, the worst thing they can say is, it was really good. It ran a little long, so I had to hop off, but they're still going to hear good stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. But if you have time concerns, then I would use a recorded shorter webinar. And then you can use this one because it'll be recorded when you know.
It seemed like it would be
you can do is you can tell people, just let them know ahead of time, hey, listen, this is going to be an awesome call. There's going to be a lot of really great people on there. It might run long, so feel free, once you kind of get the gist of what they're saying, to hop off if you have to go. It's no big deal. We can still catch up
Yeah,
And,
I would totally do that.
if you're worried about the time, just do that. So that way
Yeah.
they don't feel bad if they jump off or realize it's too long.
Yeah.
And they don't feel bad about it because they know they can hop off.
And what I've done with some of the longer webinars that Summer has, Team Courage ones, is if there's a specific coach on that webinar I want them to hear, sometimes I'll send it and say, like we were talking about this with the Chris Webb's thing, to say like, hey, I want you to take a minute, fast forward to minute 30 and listen from that point on, because that's the coach I think you will relate to his story, and then the information about coaching's after it. So you can always say, fast forward to this point because this is the coach that you remind me of, because that's kind of why I think they're using all the stories. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I'm failing forward, and I've just been following up with. I am not inviting anyone new like tomorrow, but I did post it in our challenge group, and I'm posting it on my page tonight.
I should do that. I didn't do that.
I just said, if you're curious, this is a great opportunity because there's a variety of speakers that are going to share different stories, and I can share in the team page what I posted in the challenge group in case anybody wants to take it.
Yeah,
Do that so I can just say that exact thing. So I don't have to rewrite it.
And I posted the link in the comment too of the group, so they don't have to even tell me if they call, because I didn't want to make anyone feel awkward.
Then you can just show up and prowl through the names and see if
I have a handful of people who've been saying they wanted to do sneak peeks. They were in the group and then they just never answered any coach questions. So I thought, well, maybe I don't know. That's what I've been doing. But I am posting it on my Facebook page too. Because they don't get a lot of traffic, but that's what got Jill to check out coaching. After a year of watching me and not liking a single post, I posted about a sneak peek and she messaged me. You know what I'm saying? So I always think of her when I think no one's going to like this. And I'm like, well, you know what? She didn't like anything for a whole year. So, and Elizabeth even said she followed me for like a year, and I never noticed her like any post either. So, but that's my plan for tomorrow night. So I could just hang out with you guys. This is kind of fun. I have poo-pooey morning. This makes me happy.
Do you feel like when you do coaching calls that your mornings or your evenings are working best? You said you're doing Thursday evenings with some of your new coaches.
I do evenings because I only Thursday evening or Saturday morning.
I like mornings. If I can get them in like at 6 a.m, I prefer to do something bright and early if I can.
Yeah, I think you just have to roll with.
I'm going to reach out to them and kind of see, because I kind of have a small group. There's
yeah. Like I would maybe share a couple time options for them. But yeah, I have, I just have to remind myself to check Acuity. It doesn't send reminders unless you pay it.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it's just one step. But yeah, the 6 a.m. calls are great now that I'm getting up early. For the first couple months, that was hard, but yeah, whatever works, I think, for your peoples.
All right. Do you guys mind if we wrap it up real quick?
No.
Thank you.
I'm looking at the time. It's 9:46. I'm looking at the recording. Sorry, my brain's running in that Ruby got a hold of me. Ruby.
It's awesome. We love it.
Yay!
The hamster wheel?
Yeah,
The hamster wheel?
we love it.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for hopping on the call tonight. Kelly, if you can post that you put in your challenge group and on the team page. And if people want to post any of their sample invites in the comments of that, that'd be really helpful for other coaches maybe who haven't sent one out yet. Let's talk about knowing the way, going the way, showing the way. So why don't we just kind of share some of our invites on the comments of the post that Kelly puts up about challenge groups. Sound good?
Yep. Perfect.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining. We'll see you next week.